Okay, in this video we're going to set up data tables for this lab called Examining Elements. This page is page 80 in your workbook. We're going to set up one data table here, and then the other data table will be set up on page 81. So I have a marker to make my data table, and I also have my paper ruler here. I'm just going to take my paper ruler and line it up with the edge of the box at the bottom of page 80. And I'm going to mark along that blue border every ½ inch. So I'm going to start at 0 up at the top, and I'm going to mark every ½ inch until I get to the 3-inch mark. So I should have 7 dots there. On the other side of the box on page 80, I'm going to line up my ruler and again mark every ½ inch starting at 0 and going down to the 3-inch mark. And now I'm going to rotate my paper, and using my ruler I'm going to connect the dots. I'm going to try to get this all on one. There we go. Now we can see it all. So I'm going to take my ruler and connect the dots at the bottom. And I'm going to just continue up within this box. This will give us 6 rows, and each row will be spaced apart by ½ inch. And now I want to make sure that my table stands out. So turning my paper back, I'm also going to darken the edges of my dots here, and this will make it look more like a data table. So I've done that side, and coming back over here, now the left side is all done. Bring this down a little bit more. So I have 6 rows, and I'm going to split the rows into 2 columns. I'm just going to use the width of this ruler. If you don't have your paper ruler, you can estimate about maybe 2 knuckles or 2 inches. Putting my ruler down here and drawing a line straight down so that my table now has 2 columns. The first column, I will label this substance, and this large column is where we will write a description of the appearance. You're going to be looking at 5 different elements in the video, and you'll describe the appearance of each of the substances. The first substance that you'll look at is sulfur. The element symbol for sulfur is just the letter S. You'll also look at iron, aluminum, you're going to see a piece of charcoal. Charcoal is carbon, so rather than writing charcoal, I'm going to write carbon since that's the element name. And then also you'll look at copper. For appearance, when you watch the video, you can record things like the physical state. So is it a solid, a liquid, or a gas? You could record an observation about color, whether the substance is shiny or dull, and then also you can try to observe its texture. So is it rough or smooth? You can record that in the appearance section. So that's the data table for page 80. I'm going to set that aside and now bring up page 81. So most of page 81 is this large box here where you're allowed to write some observations and data. we're going to create a second data table in this area following the same format, but this one will have 3 columns. So the beginning part is the same. I'm lining up my ruler and marking every 1/2 inch. And I'll do the same thing on the left-hand side. Now on the right side, I'm doing the same thing. And I'm going to connect those dots. And to make the table stand out a little more, I'm going to darken the sides. And now, so we have the basic setup of the table, but I said we need to split this into 3 columns. So I'm just using the width of my ruler again. And then the remaining area, or the remaining column, is about 4 inches and 3/4. Let's see if centimeters will be better. So in centimeters, it's about 12. So I'm going to mark at 6 centimeters. And here again at 6 centimeters, and connect those 2 dots to hopefully get a somewhat straight line. Okay, now we have 3 columns. The first column is going to be substance again. And I'll fill in those substances: sulfur, iron, aluminum, carbon for the charcoal, and copper. These remaining boxes will be for 2 different characteristics of the substances. This first one is hardness. So in the video, you'll see that the person hits each of the samples with a hammer. You have 2 options for hardness. You can either describe the substance as brittle or malleable. So if something is brittle, it's going to break apart into a bunch of small pieces. If something is malleable, it will bend or dent. The other column is to record conductivity of the substance. So the person in the video will run an electrical current through the substance, and if a light bulb connected to the current lights up, then we know that the substance is conductive. For the conductivity column, your options will either be yes or no. Yes would be if the light bulb lights up, and no would be if the light bulb doesn't light up. The remaining area below the table, this is for other observations that you might record while watching the video. And I just put 3 or 4 dots in that area to give myself some space to write observations. So now at this point, you have the data table on page 80, as well as the data table on page 81, and an area to write observations. This lab also includes an analyze and conclude question at the bottom of page 81, and an analyze and conclude problem at the top of 82. Now at this point, you'll watch the video while recording your data, and then you'll answer questions 6 and 7.